Time is the most valuable currency you will ever possess. And yet, paradoxically, it's the currency most people spend carelessly as if it were infinite. Think about this for a moment. Money can be earned, lost, and regained. Relationships, even when broken, sometimes be repaired. But time, once it's gone forever. Every second that slips through your fingers is a piece of your life you'll never see again. That realization should feel heavy. It is heavy. We often live as though we're going to exist forever, as though our days will always stretch out endlessly before us. Deep down, you know that isn't true. You have a limited amount of time on this earth, and the clock is always ticking. Difference between people who achieve something meaningful and those who don't isn't intelligence or talent. It's how they value and use their time. Successful people understand that time is their scarcest resource, so they treat it with respect. They don't waste it on trivial distractions. Don't hand it over freely to people or activities that don't align with their goals. They guard it fiercely. Now, here's where the psychological element comes in. Most people waste time not because they want to, because they don't fully grasp its value in the moment. Human brain has a tendency to discount the future. We prefer the instant gratification of scrolling on our phones, binge watching a show, or indulging in something easy. But here's the irony: what feels like relaxation is often just avoidance. And avoidance is the enemy of progress. When you choose short-term comfort, you silently agree to push your potential further into the future, where it usually stays locked away. I want you to picture your life as a bank account with a balance you cannot see. Every day, 24 hours are withdrawn. You don't know how many days remain, but you do know this: the account will one day run dry. If you truly understood that, would you still spend those hours the way you do? Would you spend them carelessly on things that don't matter? Or would you use them deliberately, vesting them in what gives your life meaning and purpose? The philosophical part of this is crucial. Life is not about how long you live. It's about what you do with the time you are given. That's why we admire people who achieve greatness, not because they lived longer, but because they compressed extraordinary impact into the same 24 hours everyone else had. The truth is, you already have enough time to change your life. What you lack is not hours. It's clarity, discipline, and perspective. This is why mornings matter so much. The morning is the reset button on your time account. It's a reminder that you've been given another deposit of 24 hours. First question you should be asking yourself every morning is this: how will I use today differently than yesterday? Not in a vague, abstract way, but in a real, measurable sense. Because if you don't take control of your time at the beginning of the day, will be stolen from you piece by piece, by distractions, by other people's agendas, by your own lack of direction. Here's the challenge: start treating time with the seriousness it deserves. Don't just say, I'll be more productive. That's not enough. Begin to see each hour as an investment. Ask yourself, what return am I getting from the way I'm spending my time right now? Is it growth, progress, or is it regret disguised as comfort? When you start measuring time with the same intensity you measure money, everything in your life begins to shift. The reality is simple: if you want a meaningful life, you cannot afford to waste time. Each day that passes is not just another square on the calendar. It's a piece of your existence, and it's shrinking. So take it seriously. Guard your time. Use it wisely. And remember this: how you spend your hours is ultimately how you spend your life. If time is the most valuable currency we have, the way we begin our day is the first and most important investment decision we make. Think about it. The morning is the only part of the day that isn't yet touched by external demands. It's untouched territory, a blank slate. Most people squander it. They wake up late, grab their phones, drown themselves in notifications, and let other people's priorities dictate their mindset before they've even set their own. That's not a strategy for success, that's surrender. The truth is, the way you start your morning sets the rhythm for everything that follows. The opening move in a game of chess, one careless move early on can put you at a disadvantage for the rest of the game. Mind works in a similar way. Whatever state you allow yourself to enter in those first hours becomes the lens through which you experience the entire day. If you begin in distraction, the day will feel scattered. If you begin with clarity, the day becomes purposeful. This isn't just motivational talk. There's real psychology behind it. The human brain is most impressionable in the morning. Your subconscious has been processing while you sleep, and your conscious mind is in a heightened state of receptivity. That means the first inputs you expose yourself to, whether it's social media, news, or your own intentional planning, will disproportionately shape your mood, your focus, and even your productivity for hours to come. What you allow in during the morning creates a ripple effect. Now, here's the philosophical side of it. Mornings are symbolic. Remind us that life is made of fresh starts. Every morning is a miniature version of your entire existence. A birth into a new day, chance to begin again. And if you neglect the morning, you are, in a sense, neglecting the possibility of renewal. You're saying drift? I'll let chance decide where I go. But when you master your mornings, you're saying, I will steer this day. I will not leave it to randomness. That difference over weeks and years becomes the difference between mediocrity and mastery. Successful people know this. They use mornings as a foundation, a structure. Some begin with exercise to energize both body and mind. Others start with reading, meditation, or journaling, activities that ground them in perspective before the chaos begins. It doesn't matter so much what the routine is, as long as it's intentional and aligned with their larger purpose. When the morning is controlled, the rest of the day falls into place with more ease. Here's what most people get wrong. Mornings are about cramming and productivity, rushing to check off tasks. But mornings aren't about doing more. They're about setting direction. They're about aligning your mind with what truly matters before the distractions come. If you wake up and immediately ask yourself, what will make today meaningful? Not just busy, not just occupied, meaningful. You're already ahead of 99% of people. The challenge then is to stop treating your mornings casually. Stop hitting snooze as if the first hour of your day doesn't matter. Stop waking up reactive, waiting for life to tell you what to do. Instead, reclaim that first hour as your time. Guard it, design it, and use it deliberately. Because if you lose the morning, you lose the day. If you consistently lose your days, you end up losing your life. So here's the thought I want you to hold on to every morning you wake up. You are handed the most valuable gift you'll ever receive. Another 24 hours. Don't start by throwing it away. Begin with clarity. Begin with purpose. Because the way you wake up is ultimately the way you live. If you understand that time is your greatest asset, you've committed to beginning your mornings with clarity. The next challenge is obvious. You have to defend that clarity. Because no matter how well you set your intentions, the world is full of distractions designed to pull you off course. And here's the difficult truth. Most of the time, you're not even aware it's happening. Distraction is not just about wasting time. It's about losing control. It's about handing over your most valuable resource to things that don't serve you. About the first thing most people do when they wake up. They reach for their phone. Within seconds, pulled into a stream of notifications, messages, and endless content. It feels harmless, even normal. But what's really happening is this allowed someone else's agenda to hijack their attention before they've even decided on their own. It's not choice, that's surrender. Psychologically, this happens because your brain is wired for novelty. Dopamine spikes whenever something new shows up, a notification, a headline, a post. It tricks you into thinking you're accomplishing something when in reality, you're just being pulled further away from what matters. And the danger is subtle 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Added up over days and years, it becomes massive. Those hours could have been invested in building a skill, deepening a relationship, or moving toward a goal. Instead, they vanish into digital smoke. But distraction doesn't only come from technology. It comes from excuses, procrastination, from giving in to the temptation of comfort. The voice in your head that says, "I'll do it later," is one of the most persuasive distractions of all. And here's where the philosophical dimension becomes clear. Every excuse is a trade. Every time you choose an excuse, you're trading away your future for the illusion of safety in the present. My growth can wait. My dreams can wait. But life doesn't wait. The clock doesn't stop. And eventually, those trades accumulate into regret. So how do you overcome this? You start by recognizing that your attention is your steering wheel. Wherever it goes, your life follows. That means you have to guard it with discipline. Discipline is freedom in disguise. People often think discipline is restrictive, that it takes away your spontaneity. But the reality is the opposite. When you're disciplined about where your time and attention go, you free yourself from the endless pull of distractions. You create space for the things that actually matter. Here's a practical way to think about it. Imagine you're running a business and your attention is your capital. Would you invest that capital in projects that have no return? Would you hand it over to anyone who asks? Of course not. Yet most people do exactly that with their focus. They give it away without question and then wonder why they're not moving forward. If you want your life to grow, you need to invest your attention in high return areas, learning, health, meaningful work, relationships that strengthen you. Everything else is a drain. This is why clarity in the morning is so important. When you've set your priorities early, you're better able to recognize distractions for what they are, attempts to steal your focus. When you know what you're working toward, saying no to distractions doesn't feel like deprivation. It feels like protection. You're protecting your future from being consumed by the trivial demands of the present. So the challenge is simple, but not easy. Eliminate distractions and excuses before they eliminate your potential. Guard your focus with the same intensity you guard your money. Because in the end, your attention is the foundation of your destiny. Lose it, and you lose everything. Control it, and you can create anything. Once you begin valuing your time and defending your attention from distractions, the question becomes, what do you actually do with it? Because awareness alone doesn't create progress. The real transformation happens when you start building habits, small, consistent actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but compound into extraordinary results over time. Tend to overestimate what can be achieved in a single day and underestimate what can be achieved in a year of steady, deliberate effort. That's the paradox of human perception. We want immediate results, but the world doesn't work that way. Growth follows the law of compounding. Money invested wisely grows exponentially, so do the small actions you repeat every day. Read 10 pages of a meaningful book every morning. In a year, you've absorbed the wisdom of a dozen volumes. Do 20 minutes of exercise each day, and in 12 months, your body and mind are operating at an entirely different level. Learn one new skill for just 30 minutes daily. In a few years, you've developed expertise that can change the trajectory of your career or your life. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Your brain is designed to adapt. Every repeated action strengthens neural pathways, making the behavior easier and more automatic. Over time, effort required decreases while the results multiply. That's why habits are so powerful. They don't just shape what you do, shape who you become. You don't have to constantly force yourself into change. You simply align your daily behaviors with the identity you want to build. But here's where most people fail: chase intensity instead of consistency. They'll work out hard for a week or commit to a project for a short burst and then burn out. When they stop, they feel defeated, as if they've failed permanently. The truth is, greatness is never built in short sprints. It's built in small, steady steps, repeated long after the excitement fades. Difference between the person who dreams and the person who achieves is not talent, it's consistency. Philosophically, habits reveal something deeper. They expose what you truly value. You can say you want to be successful. Your daily habits revolve around comfort, distraction, and avoidance. What you really value is ease. You can say you want to be healthy. If your habits involve neglecting your body, what you really value is indulgence. Habits are the mirror of your priorities. You may not like what you see in that mirror, but it doesn't lie. And the beauty of this truth is that you always have the power to change it. Challenge is not to ask, what massive leap can I take? But rather, what small, repeatable actions can I commit to every day that will move me closer to who I want to be? Because the small things you do daily aren't small at all. They are the building blocks of your destiny. Or woman you become 5 years from now will be the direct result of the habits you practice today. And here's the sobering thought: wasted time is also a habit. Procrastination is a habit. Distraction is a habit. Just as positive routines compound into growth, negative routines compound into decay. Every choice you make is either an investment or a withdrawal from the person you want to be. There is no neutrality. So the invitation is simply choose habits that align with the future you want to create. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Rely on structure, rely on systems, rely on the discipline of showing up even when it's inconvenient. Because in the end, the future doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives in the small choices you make, repeated every single day. The truth is, success isn't built in a moment of inspiration. It's built in routine. And if you can master your habits, you can master your life. When you begin to build habits, something interesting happens. Life starts to push back. You'll feel the pull of comfort, the temptation to slow down, to stay where it's easy, to avoid the friction of growth. This is where many people stop, not because they lack ability, but because they confuse comfort with happiness. Comfort feels good in the moment, gives you relief, a sense of safety, a temporary escape from effort. But over time, comfort becomes a trap. It slowly steals your ambition, convinces you that staying the same is better than risking discomfort for something greater. And here's the hard truth: comfort zones are not neutral, they're shrinking. The longer you stay in them, the smaller your world becomes. You stop growing, you stop challenging yourself, and eventually, you stop believing in your own potential. On the other hand, living with purpose requires discomfort, demands that you stretch yourself beyond what feels safe, that you endure moments of uncertainty and even failure. There's a deeper fulfillment that comes from it, a sense that your time and effort are being spent on something that matters. Purpose gives meaning to the struggle. It transforms challenges into stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Psychologically, this is critical to understand. The human brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. Highest forms of meaning come from willingly choosing short-term discomfort for long-term fulfillment. Exercise hurts in the moment, strengthens you. Studying and practicing require effort, but they expand your mind and your capabilities. Facing difficult conversations may be uncomfortable, but they build stronger relationships. In every meaningful pursuit, discomfort is not a barrier, it is the path. And here's where the philosophical dimension comes in. Comfort and purpose are opposites. Comfort looks inward. It asks, what feels good right now? Purpose looks outward and forward. It asks, what contribution am I making? What future am I building? Comfort is selfish in its focus, while purpose is expansive. It connects you to something greater than yourself. That's why people who live with purpose often experience a deeper sense of satisfaction, even when their lives are full of challenges. But purpose isn't something that just appears. It's something you choose. You discover it by asking yourself hard questions. What am I willing to struggle for? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind? What do I want my days to add up to? These questions don't always have immediate answers, but the act of pursuing them pulls you out of comfort and into a life of direction. The danger, of course, is postponement. Many people tell themselves, I'll focus on my purpose later, after I've earned more money, after things are easier, after I have more time. But that later rarely arrives. Purpose is not waiting at some distant milestone. It's built now in the choices you make today, in the way you spend your hours. Every day you choose comfort over purpose, you drift further from the life you could have lived. So the challenge is clear. Stop worshiping comfort. Stop confusing ease with happiness. Begin choosing the harder path when it aligns with your greater vision. Yes, it will require sacrifice. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Discomfort is the sign that you are alive, that you are growing, that you are moving towards something worthy. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. Comfort gives you relief for today, but purpose gives you fulfillment for a lifetime. Purpose, every morning, every day. Because the real tragedy is not pain or failure, it's wasting your life on something that never truly mattered. Up to this point, talked about valuing time, mastering your mornings, protecting your attention, building habits, and choosing purpose over comfort. None of it means anything if you don't act. The greatest enemy of progress is not lack of knowledge. It's waiting. Waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right circumstances, waiting for a day when everything feels easier. And I can tell you this with certainty, that day never comes. Someday is one of the most dangerous words in the human language. It gives us the illusion that we have time, that we can delay the important work of our lives without consequence. If you look honestly at history, or even at your own life, you'll see that someday is just a polite way of saying never. The opportunities you delay rarely come back. The risks you avoid don't disappear, they turn into regrets. Psychologically, this procrastination is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping into the unknown. The mind convinces you that waiting will somehow make it easier. But in reality, waiting only strengthens the fear. Action is what dissolves it. The moment you move, even imperfectly, you begin to weaken the grip of doubt. Motion creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. But when you wait, hesitation becomes habit. You train yourself to delay. Every delay makes it harder to start. There's also a philosophical truth here. Life is happening right now, not later. Present moment is the only space where change can occur. The past is gone, and the future is only potential. All you truly have is this moment, this decision. That's why acting now is not just a strategy, it's a way of honoring reality. To act now is to say, I recognize the value of this moment, and I refuse to waste it. Consider the people you admire, the leaders, innovators, Creators who built something lasting, none of them waited for perfect conditions. They acted in uncertainty with incomplete information in less than ideal circumstances. They didn't succeed because the timing was right. They succeeded because they decided to move. And often it was that very decision to act that created the opportunities they needed. Waiting would have robbed them of everything. This is why it's not enough to think about your goals or even to plan for them. Planning without execution is just disguised procrastination. At some point, you have to cross the threshold from intention to action. And the sooner you do, the more leverage you gain over time. Every day you delay, you're not just standing still, you're falling behind because the clock never stops. The challenge, then, simple but urgently: stop waiting. Stop telling yourself you'll begin when you feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Action comes first, readiness follows. Stop postponing the conversation you need to have, the project you need to start, the discipline you need to build. Begin now, however imperfectly, because every morning you wake up, you're being handed an opportunity. If you keep saying, "not yet," one day you'll wake up and realize you've run out of mornings. Here's the final thought I want you to carry: your life is being written one day at a time. Each sunrise is a blank page. Every choice you make fills it. You can either fill those pages with hesitation, excuses, and wasted potential, or with action, growth, progress towards something meaningful. The pen is in your hand, and the only time you can use it is now. Act today. Act this morning. If you don't, someday will quietly become never.